everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty. Say hello, Walter.
Hello, Walter.
Okay, very good. And you'll never guess, I'm actually a ventriloquist, and I wonder where my hand is to make him talk. Nice face. Your mother,
Well, you
were you
think
born with
you're
that?
Jeff Dunham or whatever?
Yeah, well, you're Walter.
Yeah.
If you know who Jeff Dunham is and his puppet Walter. Well, check it out sometime on YouTube when he does Walter. The ventriloquist dummy was modeled after Walter, or maybe it was the other way around. Anyways, I digress, as we often do. So we're going to carry on with the last episode in putting together the freestanding lace, freestanding applique, gingerbread, windmill, 3D dimensional model, blah, 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 today. But before we get to that, what have I been up to? Well, these are things I'm just giving you a sneak preview to. I'll be talking about them next week on Idiot Quilter, of course, once I find the button. There it is. So you have probably seen this quite a bit because I'm not the only one doing it. It is one of Stephanie Stitch's patterns. Everybody's doing it because Stephanie offered it for nothing up until American Thanksgiving. Now you have to pay for it. But you want to know something? It is not expensive. You can go to her Etsy store to get it. If you're looking for something really quick to throw together as a last minute hostess gift or something like that, or you missed somebody on your Christmas list, so why not give them a table runner? This is the one for you. And you can do it in any color combination you want, and many people have been taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I think Stephanie did one in blue.
She did. She did one in blues and silvers, which looks very nice and has more of a winter feel than a Christmas feel to it. So, just depending on your color scheme, you can make it fit any season of the year. Do it in fall colors. That could be fun because these are evergreens and they're around all year.
What, the red ones are evergreens?
They're ever reds. Oh, he's so funny today, isn't he? So funny. I just wanted to pick him up and kill him. Okay, moving on to what I've done next. And this is the second block in the Barnstar Quilt Sampler, or Sampler Quilt, which I was struggling with the first block, and there were two of those. Well, I have figured out, don't use steam. It does make a difference. And so this block, no problems dimension-wise. Now, I think the rest of the blocks that go in this quilt are smaller. I'm hoping so, because this one is quite large, and it took a while to make, because there is a lot of cutting involved in this as well. Although it doesn't necessarily look like it, there is. So anyways, I'm on the road to adding more blocks, and eventually I will get that quilt done. Probably not during this year, sometime in the new year, I am sure. I'm just working on it as I get in the mood to work on it. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, Walter?
Planning trips.
Planning trips, yes. We have two exciting trips next year planned. One, of course, you've heard us talk about, Holland.
Actually, Netherlands.
Sorry, excuse me.
Holland is only a couple of provinces of the Netherlands.
Oh, well, I'm sorry if I don't know everything there is to know about the Dutch. But But I live with one, and that's enough to know. But anyways, we have that planned, and we're going to, that's in May, tail end of July into the first part of August, we will be going to London, England, and from London, England, we will be traveling by train to Birmingham for the Birmingham Quilt Festival, which is a biggie. And we're kind of excited.
I think it's the biggest in the European area.
Yeah. But it's huge even by standards of North America. And I'm really looking forward to seeing their quilts because I have seen videos from past years. And I'm sorry, Americans, but from what I've seen, QuiltCon, Quilt whatever, everything down there does not hold a candle to the Birmingham Quilt Festival. I'm sorry. I know you're going to say, oh, that can't be true because everything's bigger and better in America. Not necessarily, only in the minds of other Americans. Okay, there's
actually,
a world out there.
Not only that, we've been to London a few times, and we're going to be staying first in London, then taking the train to the quilt show and staying there for a few days, and then coming back to London. London's a great city. It's got all kinds of things
Yeah.
to do in it. So
London is a fun place to go. There's just so much. We love London. Um, and even though it's a huge city, it
they have
doesn't feel like a huge
they
city.
have a great underground transportation system. So anywhere you want to go in London,
Yeah,
you can get there by their underground
by the tube.
tube. And they've got an enormous amount of lines and subway lines underneath London that can take you just about anywhere you want to go.
I don't think even the New York subway system does not compare to the London subway system at all. And then there's the train system, which is kind of connected to all of that. And that's how we're going. We're not going to rent a car. Birmingham is about what?
Yeah, actually,
an hour and a half, 2 hours away from London.
We're staying pretty much next to the train station in London. Then we're going to. There is like about 4 major train stations in London. They go different areas. There's the one that we'll be going, staying close to. There's 3 in a row. One is a train station that's dedicated for international travel.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that we're staying close to is one that's dedicated for more regional travel. And we can go from that train station to Birmingham, and they have 2 different types of trains that run. A slow train that takes a little over 2 hours to get to Birmingham, and which just goes normal speed. And then they have high-speed trains that go up to there that will take you there in about an hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a cost involved, of course, when you go to the higher speed train, and there's different classes of what you sit in as well. We have all of that to explore yet to decide what will suit our budget and our preferences the best. I always lean towards first class because we have suitcases.
Yeah.
And, a suitcase each, and they're not huge suitcases because we don't travel
And the first class tickets are basically about twice the price of second class, but it's still a reasonable price if you really look at it. So
anyways, that's into the summertime here. So but you have to plan ahead. We've already booked our flights for everything,
and we have our hotels,
and we have our hotels booked and whatnot. And so so stay tuned for more about our plans for that. And of course, I will be doing videos when we're over there, and hopefully I'll be able to have internet connections where I can, maybe we'll be able to do a live or 2 as well. But that's down the road. Right now, our most important event coming up, of course, is Stephanie Stitch's retreat in Georgia, the one we went to last year and had such a good time, and we're off to that one in a couple of weeks' time as well. That one we're driving to, as you know. So Christmas Day comes, we're leaving on Christmas Day. So and that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have videos, and there'll be some lives with Stephanie from Dahlonega. That's the name of the town we're closest to. We're out in the middle of nowhere, actually, in this chalet. It's beautiful. But we're looking forward to that as well. So lots of things coming up. Busy season right now, Christmas and everything. And Walter's been busy being my travel agent, because I have no idea what we're doing. I won't know till we get there, and I'll say, oh, it's Tuesday morning. So what's on the plan today? If it's Tuesday, it's Belgium.
Yeah, I still have the train tickets to look after, but apparently you can't really pre-order them until 12 weeks before we go. So,
and the further out you order them, the cheaper the tickets are as well. So we'll see how that all works out. Okay, so Walter has nothing to show because he was busy making travel plans, and of course busy shoveling snow because we got a dump, and a little early. It's like the old days. We used to have snow.
Well, we used to get snow in November.
Yeah, I know. When we were kids. I remember when we were children.
I remember even when I bought my first house, the year I bought my first house, first week in November, we got a really heavy snowstorm.
I know. Well, climate change or whatever they say.
Well, that's first year, and the year that we got the really bad snowstorm, it was 15 degrees on Christmas Day. I actually I used to run, I used to jog a lot and in those days, and I actually went on Christmas Day in shorts.
Yeah, and he had hair.
I had hair.
Yeah, so that's how long
hair
ago
on my
was.
legs and hair on my head.
Oh, well, you don't want to hear about your legs. No, unless you're going to give a show. And don't ask for it. Oh, and by the way, oh, people. We did mention the Birmingham thing, I think, on live, and somebody wrote a comment. Oh, would we be taking a class with Kate? You know, of the last homely house because they heard she'll be there. No, Kate doesn't usually do classes at all, and no, we won't be doing any. We won't be doing any classes. I mean, yeah, no,
No, we're just going to have a look around and stuff like
and
that,
check
and
out the
maybe
vendors
check out the vendors. But we're not
and check out Birmingham.
we're not doing any classes or anything.
No, but yeah, no, Kate doesn't do classes. Okay, for one thing, yeah, she'll probably be there, and if by chance we run into her, not that she'll know me from Adam, as in Adam Sows. I'm wondering if we'll run into Adam Sows too.
Maybe.
He may be there too. So, you know, well, actually, Kate will know who I am, and Adam knows who I am because I've interviewed both of them in the past, and I've had both of them on the retreats as well, and still in communication more so with Adam than I am with Kate. But yeah, but I mean, if we happen to see them, we'll go over and say hello and say, "You don't know who I am, do you?" And she'll go, "Oh, well, you look familiar." No, 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 you don't. It's okay. Don't worry about it. No, we won't be standing around and stalking her. Okay, like, and if you saw Stephen and Walter live last week, then you know what I'm talking about in the stalking business. Okay, let's talk about what's coming up. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. You know the drill. I say it all the time. Pop-up sew day, though. Very important. This is a special one. We haven't had a pop-up sew day in a few weeks. So we're having one this Saturday, the 7th. Saturday, December 7th, 2024, just in case somebody sees this in the future. And it's a special Christmas edition. And why is it special? Well, I think I've already gone over this, and everybody, I think, has the information because I sent it all out on an email to the mailing list, but it's also the link for it is in the show notes for everything this week that went up, including this. But Christmas edition, so we're going to get festive. All right, very festive. If you've got something that's Christmas based, could be a quilt, could be a sweater, could be an ornament, could be something from the present, from the past, something you've currently made this year, or something you made a million years ago, whatever, and you would like to show it and tell the little story, we don't need an essay, about it, then there will be an opportunity, many opportunities actually during the day. I worked out a schedule for this pop-up sew day. Don't usually do that. I usually have a schedule for the retreats, but because this one is special, I have to keep myself on track, so I made out a schedule for myself. So there's that, show and share. Then so that wear something festive, bring something festive to nibble on during the day if you wish. Christmas cookies, whatever, fruitcake, whatever floats your boat. I love fruitcake.
Yeah, we know that.
Oh, be quiet. Don't be saying it. Don't be saying it because you are what you eat. Don't say that. I know you're thinking it. Don't say it. Stop thinking it. I see it in your eyes. There it is. And what else? Oh yeah, we're having prizes. Prizes. Still working out the details how I'm going to do this randomly, but I think I have an idea how to work it out. I think you're all going to get assigned a number when you come in. And you'll have to remember your number. And then I'll put all the numbers in a random number generator. And if your number comes up, you get a Christmas related pattern. So, and I've got a lot of them to give out. There's going to be a lot of draws with it. Secret here is some of them I paid for. Most of them are freebies that I got. So yeah, you could probably get these freebies too, but I've done the work for you if you win one. So don't worry about it. So yeah, it's going to be lots of fun. And I have some special videos to keep us entertained at various points in the day. And we're celebrating December baby birthdays. In other words, if you have a birthday in December, we're going to celebrate it. And I know there's quite a few of you that do because you've already told me this. Yeah, because December babies always get shortchanged on their birthdays because it's so close to Christmas. And the closer you were born to Christmas Day, the more likelihood you've heard this phrase, "Oh, here's your birthday and Christmas present." And your answer to that should be, "You cheap bugger. It's two separate occasions. I should be getting two gifts from you." you cheap piece of buggery. Anyways, yeah, so we're going to do that. So it's going to be lots of fun. Link is in the show notes below. And those of you on the mailing list, I've sent it out to you already. So I know it's a busy time of the year, but if you're able to, join us. You don't have to stay the whole day either. I mean, if you got other things, you can come and go as you please. Okay, so other things. There's been a lot coming up in this next week. I've put up already a video on Monday of the Christmas decoration house tour, whatever you want to call it. All the things that we've put up for Christmas this year on the inside of the house. When I say we, I mean me. Walter does the outside, I do the inside. And so, yeah, if you haven't seen that, there's a link for that in the show notes as well. There is also, just went up today, the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas box, or Jenny's Advent Calendar, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it the Christmas box. We're opening up, and when I say we, Stephanie and I, as we did last year, are opening up the first 5 days of the box. And you'll get to see our genuine reactions. We pre-recorded all of these in 5-day increments. So the next one will be December 10th, next one will be December 15th, etc., up to Christmas Day. But we did not know when we opened them up. We had not peeked or anything. You see them in that video as we saw them for the first time. And we give you our gut reactions to them, whether this got us excited or whether this was sort of a kind of a deal. And we rate them as well. So that's how we do the unboxing. And this will be our 3rd year of Stephanie and I doing the unboxing of the Missouri Star Quilt box. So it should be lots of fun, because I even illustrate how to use some of the items in ways you probably never thought of. Not going to say any more about that. Okay, and next, well, we'll come to this near the end. I have something to show you at the end. So we'll move on to the social review. That's the thing we used to do with a bunch of us, and it would be alive. Well, we stopped doing them because we ran out of topics, and we just felt it was getting a little boring for people. But we've decided to resurrect it for Christmas. We're doing a special Christmas edition. So there's going to be Stephanie, and there's going to be Russ from Quilt Meets World, and Walter and myself. And we have each picked 3 YouTube channels that we watch on a regular basis that may or may not have anything to do with quilting or sewing. Because, and I've used this expression several times now, and Stephanie actually used it in her video too. She gave me credit for it, though. We're not one-trick ponies, all right? We have varied interests beyond the world of quilting and sewing. So that will be reflected in our 3 choices of the videos we watch on a frequent basis. So, and Stephanie has kindly taken down the information from each of us and has made it into a list that she's got in the show notes for this live presentation, so that if you're interested in those channels, you can go to them and check them out for yourself as well. When is this happening? Thursday, December the 19th. Not this coming Thursday, December 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be on Stephanie's channel. The links are already there on her channel, but I will also put the links in the show notes as well when we get closer to the date on all of mine. But she has the thumbnails already up on YouTube for that. Yeah, if you click on it now, nothing's going to happen. Okay? It won't happen until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, December 19th. So hope you guys can join us for that. It should be fun. Not should, it will be fun. Okay. So we are moving on now to the last part of our 3-part series on putting together the gingerbread windmill. This. There it is, all put together. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to put this together. So I have already done a video showing what equipment you need, how to use it, how to put it all together. They are not hard to do, but it's your first time. You might find it a little tricky. That's why we're doing this video as well. So I'm going to insert that in here right now, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about tips and tricks you should know about this kind of thing, and tell you what's coming up next week. something special on So Chatty. So, hope you enjoy the video. So now we've come to the time when we're going to assemble all of the pieces. And I am following as a guide the step-by-step instructions that are included with the file. However, I may do some things a little bit differently than the way they suggest, which is fine. I suggest that the very first time you put one of these together that you follow the instructions very carefully. And I know the instructions are upside down in your view of it, but that's okay because it's too far away for you to read them anyways. But I do want to point out some of the special tools I'm going to use. Of course, I have an awl in case I have to punch out, and I know that I do have to punch out a few holes. The awl, excuse me, is very good for that. Seam ripper, because we have some parts that tabs fit into, so these are for the slots. So seam ripper will work really well. I'm sorry you couldn't see that in the shot. Yeah, so that's my awl. That's my seam ripper. And then I have a very important device. These are called hemostats. Hemostats are actually a medical tool. And these ones are called alligator hemostats because if you see how the end of it opens up, that looks like an alligator's mouth, I guess. Anyways, you can use ordinary hemostats that just have the points, but I find these work a little bit better. You can pick these up online, Amazon, at some of the embroidery sites like OESD, or if you've got a medical surplus store or a surplus store that has, they often sell medical equipment. You can pick them up there. And I think that's where I picked these ones up. And I think they were less than $10. And then you'll probably want some of these. Again, you can just use pins, but I tend to be very awkward with pins. And what these do, as you'll see, are going to be used like clamps to hold things together as we're putting them around, because there's a lot of manipulation of the parts to get everything in the different slots and holes. So you'll see how we use those when we get there with them. These again can be picked up at very inexpensively in a hardware store or online on Amazon. I think I got a big bag of them for, again, less than $10. Okay, so I have all my equipment ready, and the first thing it's telling me to do in the instructions is to cut open any of the slots for tabs and that kind of thing. So the only spot I have a tab is in this little piece here, and you see they're marked. This is a tab hole. So they say carefully cut it away. What I do is I use a seam ripper and do it the same way as you would with a buttonhole. I put the seam ripper in and then I just very carefully, I don't want to cut into the satin stitches. That's probably far enough. And I'm just going to do that with each one of these. Now, if you want to be extra careful, you can put a pin at the end of this that'll act as a barrier. So when you're sliding your seam ripper up, you don't go beyond and cut into those satin stitches, because if you cut into those, they will start to unravel and there's nothing you can do to really fix that. Okay, I've got those all cut through. There's also on this piece some eyelet holes. I just use my awl for that and just push it down to the center, and it's very easy. The awl makes it very, very easy. Or if you want to call this a stiletto, goes by both names. But it's very easy to make your holes there. You could use a hand punch too, but I find the awl is just easier. So I have those all. Oh, no, I don't have them all. There we go. Got them all now. Okay, I'm just quickly scanning over the pieces to make sure there isn't anything else I have to cut through. No, I think I have it all done. No pun on the word all. Okay, so it says on the instructions, the first thing we're going to assemble are these three, oops, sorry, you can see it, these three pieces. And it says line up the bottom wall pieces, and it gives the numbers for the pieces. Now, this is where we're moving away from the eyelets. So you do have to use your sewing machine a little with this, or hand stitching, but I recommend your sewing machine. We need to take these 3 pieces. Let's see if I can find these 3 pieces and lay them out here. That's one of the pieces, and this piece, and this piece. Okay, so let's take a look at these. Move them over so you can see it better. The camera wants to autofocus. I don't know why, but we won't worry about that as long as you can see. Okay, so let's see if I can stop that from autofocusing. Not well, it's like it's a heartbeat. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, and I'm going to zigzag these 2 pieces together and then the last piece. And I'm going to use a white thread, and I'm going to set my stitch length so that it doesn't go beyond the edges that are here. So I'm going to go off and get my sewing machine ready for that, and then I'll show you. Okay, so I've got my sewing machine set up with my zigzag foot plate in, and I've got the F foot with the open part here for zigzag. And I'm just taking the middle piece and the one to the left, and what I want to do is I want to zigzag across the seam. You can see here, just zigzag across that to join it. Now, I have to experiment with how long I want my stitch length and how wide I want this. So I'm just going to line this up in the center, and I'm going to hit the zigzag. And I'm going to hit the zigzag that sets itself up so the needle's in the middle. No, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to hand turn the crank. Oops, forgot to put down my foot. And I'm just seeing where it's going to land. Okay, I think I'm going to make it just a hair wider. So let's see here. And I'm just using the hand at the moment just to make sure I'm lined up. Yeah, I think I need to make that a little wider. Now you could use an invisible thread for this, but I'm just using a white since that's what's on the edges, so don't need to switch over. Okay, that looks good right there. Okay, now I'm going to put the machine at a slow speed to start with, and here we go. Now what I do is I butt up the edges as I'm going along here. I didn't adjust the width of the stitch. I don't want a satin stitch in this because I will be bending this, and so I want to be able to bend it fairly easily. Now you do have to do a little bit of manipulation to make sure that you are getting both sides. That's why I'm going at a fairly slow speed so that I can see this. You do not want the pieces to ride up on top of each other, and they will try to do that a little bit because you don't want a big lump. So we're almost coming to the end of this piece right here. Okay, and I'm just going to tie it off. Cut the thread, and there we go. We have a join, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now again, even though I'm pretty sure my settings are correct, I'm butting the 2 pieces up. Now my needle's gone over to one side right now. It's not in the center, so I'm just going to compensate. I'm going to take a couple of stitches There we go. And I'm lined up pretty good. Now, they may slide on you a little bit at first, and if they do, you can adjust it and carry on. And I'm watching that little mark on my F foot, the little red arrow or dot, because that marks the center, and I'm keeping that right down the center seam, or the center between the two butted up edges. That's what I'm using as my guide to make sure that I have everything where I want it to be. Don't rush this. If you do make a mistake, it's easy to rip them out and start over again. That's really not that hard, but you know, if you don't have to rip it out, then why bother? Okay, tie it off and cut the thread. And now I have these three pieces are now all together. Okay, so let's go back to the table and look at what our next step is. Okay, so there was another piece that I had to sew just in the same manner as I did with this first one, the zigzag back and forth on the edges. And now we're going to put those to the side for a moment, and we're going to concentrate on these two pieces. Now these ones are done with buttonettes. And I'm looking at the picture for the way I'm supposed to have this turn. I want to put these buttonettes into these holes that are right here. So this is where the hemostats and the alligator clips come into play. So what we do is, and this is awkward to show on camera, but I'm going to orientate this so that I can see where the buttons are going to match up. This is basically the peak of this little piece. Okay, awkward. Let's get this. It's going to go something like that. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, get them lined up the way you want them. Take your hemostats, and we're going to put them through from behind this. And I just take them, and they may be a little tight, but that's okay. I just want to get past where that opens. And I see I have a little extra thread here. Let me get that. There, pick that up. Okay. Going to open the hemostats, just like that. And I'm going to, okay, I told you go through the back. I want to go into the front of the piece, through the front. And then I'm going to pull the corresponding eyelet. Hope you can see this. I'm just going to clamp down on it. Okay, steady hands. Okay, I've got it. Got them pinched, and I'm just going to pull it through. And it helps if you wiggle it a little bit. Now you don't want to be too rough. You don't want to wreck any of the stitching. Okay, I've got it through. And now I'm just going to move to the next hole. I'm going to do the same thing. And pull it through. Now, as I said, they can be a little bit on the stiff side. I hope I'm doing this the right way. Yes, I am. It can get a little confusing because I was getting confused because there's more little buttonettes there, but they're not the ones I want. And you'll notice too that these buttonettes I'm pulling through match the little piece of the roof, the same color. Now, sometimes when you're working with this, and this is where the alligator clips come in, you're way over here pulling through a buttonette through an eyelet, and one that you've already previously pulled starts to pull back through. That's not unusual. So that's where the alligator clips come in. So you just put a little alligator clip on each one that I've already pulled through, and that keeps them temporarily secure. Now, when we come to the end of this project, we will be adding a little dab of fabric glue, and I'll show you that when we get there, to keep things in place, you know, when you're using it. So now we're just going to move down the line in order, and we pull through the next one. Now these ones are staying together pretty good in the hole, so I illustrated how to use the alligator clips, but oops, slipped off. But I really don't feel that I need the alligator clips at this moment in time, but that's okay. It just gives me extra security. Sorry if I'm going out of the shot. Okay. So I am going to put, for now, the alligator clips on these 3 that I just pulled through. Just for a little added security while we're waiting to put the other pieces on. Okay, so there we go. Just like that. So now the instructions are telling me, and let me look at them here, that the next pieces I'm going to assemble, I'm still going to use this piece, but I'm going to take one of these pieces, and I have 3 of these. This is the snow on the roof kind of a thing. So I've got to get the right piece, the right size. So these 2 are too big. So put those aside. This one's the one I want. Now there is a right side and a wrong side to pieces like this. So you have to look at it, and basically you can tell the difference. You see a nicer finished edge up here at the top, around the edge on the right side. So now what I want to do, there's a little extra extraneous thread, and you will have extraneous thread, so just cut that off. So what I want to do is I want to put this right in there. So we're going to use the same procedure. I'm just going to put my hemostats through. Now these holes are a little bit tighter, so there's 1 or 2 ways I could do this. I could take my awl and just push it through, because the awl is graduated. It gets a little wider as you get closer to the handle, and just give it a light little twisting just to open up the hole a little bit more, but don't want to do too much because it'll make it too loose and you could start splitting your satin stitches. So we're going to grab, I'm going to go through them from the front, just wear those through, grab the buttonette, and pop it through. Now I am going to use an alligator clip on this, and I'm going to carry on to the next one. It's not a hard process, but you do want to take your time. Okay, so I've got that one through. Now we're coming over to the other side. Grab it, pull it through, clip it, and the last one. Oops, missed it. Gotta do that again. And through. And for good luck, 1 more alligator clip. Okay, so that's basically how you do this. So I'm going to carry on here, but then I will show you what you do when you hit a piece that, like the tabs, how that all works. Okay, so the next thing is we want to attach this to the front of this, and this has tab holes, and I've already cut them through with my seam ripper as I showed you before, so the hole is already there. And so now I want to place these in the corresponding slots. So there's 4 of these, and there's 4 of these. So this is a little bit easier. You just work it in, and you pull it from behind once you got it part way in, and snug it up to the edge. And the order you want to do this in is up to you. Doesn't matter where you start, whatever you feel is most comfortable for your positioning. The alligator clips may get in the way a little bit, but they just move off to the side. So there we've got 2 in. Working on the 3rd tab. Just slide it in. Careful when you're pulling, you don't want to rip any stitches out. The stitches are pretty strong because there were many layers of thread that went through this. Okay, there we go. Now don't worry if some of your pieces look a little bent because they'll bend back. You can bend them back after you get everything together. Okay, it's looking like a bit of a mess now, isn't it, with all these alligator clips? But that's how it works. So that's how you put in tabs. And I'm just looking here to see what the next step is. And the next step is I have to assemble the back panel on this, and that is this piece right here. And you can see buttonettes, eyelets, buttonettes that go through the eyelets. So we're just going to do the same procedure with the hemostats and put this piece on, and then I'll come back. Now, one thing I want to make you aware of is when you hit one of these little eyelets on here, these are fragile. You can pull those apart, and you don't want those to pull apart. But if you notice, when I'm putting in my hemostats, I'm kind of working it, but it's really a tight fit. So what I can do is go back to my stiletto and just very gently ease it through. Now you may hear a little tiny snap. That's okay. It just means one of the threads may have broken, but it's not going to harm you. Just ease it, widen them up a little bit. And sometimes I like to go around a couple of times, just checking. So I think that's pretty good. So now, because I want to put it on the back side of this, I want to pull my buttonettes through to the front. Now, yeah, through to the front. So I'm just lining this first one up, getting my alligator clips in enough that I can open them, grab, and very gently work it through the hole. There we go, just like that. And I'll do a second one to show you. Now, I'm trying not to, and I don't want to, so just take it slow, don't force it through. But what happens if I did actually break one of these eyelets? Well, go on to the other eyelets, then just pull this through as best you can, and then just put a little fabric glue on that and let it set, let it dry, and it'll be fine. Ask me how I know. I've done it. I'm trying not to do it on this one, but if I do, I will illustrate my point. Just take your time, be very gentle. Oops, I lost that one. Didn't wreck it though. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Now I want to show you something you should be aware of. This is a roof piece, and it's going to go on the top of this piece this way. But watch your color. If you remember when I was stitching these, that some of the buttonettes are slightly different color. Like this looks like a mistake right here, because that's a red one, that's a one, that's a red one, that's a white one. What's going on here? Well, if you take a look at this roof panel, this will give you an indication of how it should be. Let me just cut that thread off. This will be an indication of where it should go. So on this end, this is going to go like this. I have 2 reds and a white. Well, if you look at my color on my roof, where the holes are for those buttonettes, I have 2 reds, and I have a white, and I have a red, and it corresponds to the edge here. So that's how you know how to line it up. Sometimes it doesn't matter because they're all the same color, so you're all right. But in this case, it does matter because you want the buttonettes to blend into the piece. And I didn't cut the hole through on that one. So now you want to be careful with your stiletto. You can stab yourself. Ask me how I know. Because I've done it, and I just did it a minute ago off camera. Drew a little blood, but it's okay. I'm better now. All right, I think I have all the holes punched in. Yes, I do. Okay, so we're going to go through this red eyelet and grab the corresponding red eyelet or red buttonette and just do like we did before. We're just going to work it through the hole to the other side. And we're going to do the same. Oops. Okay, get it in there with this one and just work it in. There we go. So I'm going to work my way all the way around this roof and then I'll be back. Now this next step I thought I'd show you is a little bit unique. This is the base of the windmill with all the alligator clips on it, which could come off now. They don't need to be there. But this is the top, and this is the part that has the propeller or the blade of the windmill. So you need a piece of doweling. Now, of course, this is unique for this piece with the doweling because not all pieces need a piece of doweling. And I have a big thing of different sizes of dowlings I bought some time ago from a craft store. So I've got one, I figured out how long it needs to be, and I cut it appropriately. So you want to put this, according to these instructions, in at this stage, so you can see it inside, before you attach it to the base. Because once you attach it to the base, you can't get in there to stick it through. It'll be too weak on the walls. So I've already stuck my doweling through. Now I want to place this. There is a front and there is a back. And this has a little window at the front, so it's going to go on this side. Okay, so we're just going to stick the tabs in. And because the bottom is not yet on, that's pretty much the last piece, it's easy enough to get these in and then get your hand inside to pull that tab through. You may have to manipulate it a little bit. That's okay. It'll go in. Just be a little bit gentle. Okay, and then we're going to do another one. Again, no real order to how you do these, as long as everything is lined up correctly when you get this piece on, because you can take it apart. They're actually designed to be taken apart for storage, but because I'm going to use glue on them, I don't take them apart because, to be honest, I don't want to have to keep putting them together every year for this, that's just a pain in the butt. And the last tab. And it just goes right in here. Sorry if I'm going off camera again. It is a little awkward with the camera setup. Okay, I'm having a little trouble here, so put it down on the table. Grab it. And these little tabs have been designed with edges on them so that they will kind of lock in place. Okay, so I've got that all together. So what I'm going to do next is add the back and the front piece to the dowel that holds everything secure. So this is the back piece, this little star piece. I'm just going to make a little more room in the hole to accommodate my dowel. And this should just slide. Oops. Might be a bit tight, but you want it a bit tight. Make sure I've got the right side out. I think I need to expand that hole just a touch more. Okay. There we go. And that slides right in and up to the wall. Now, I don't want that much dowel hanging out of this, so I'm just going to push it through to the other side a little bit. There we go. And I pushed in my wall a little bit, so I'm just going to pull around. This is where your hemostats come in handy for this too, because I kind of collapsed that wall a little bit, just squished it in. So I'm just squishing it back out. Okay, there we go. We've got that. And now the color of the dowel, if that bothers you that much, and I've got a fair amount hanging out. Actually, I'm going to just see if I can make that a little less predominant. Like I said, not all pieces are going to have a piece of doweling in them, so you don't have to do this for everything. Okay, and I think I've got enough here hanging out. So then I want to put in this piece, put this piece onto it. And I'm just going to expand the hole a little bit to accommodate. So there we go. So if I want it to be able to whip around, I have a little bit of play, and this sort of locks it in place. And so again, we're going to expand the hole a little bit. I want this one to be fairly tight because it is going to hold the blade in place. There we go. And I just adjust this so it doesn't look like it's all scrunched up. I know you're having, I pulled it off. Okay, that happens. Do it again. Okay. And I think I'm going to put it up just so that it's a little tight against that. That looks pretty good. Now I could chop some of that off, that dowel. Or what I can do is I can take a Sharpie and I can just go over that with another color. So maybe I'll do that and I'll come back and we'll finish this up. Okay, so I added a little bit of the Sharpie marker to the edge of that. So now it doesn't stand out so much. And it looks like a piece of wood actually with the way that I colored it in. So now the last piece is this bottom piece with the big hole. So you want the nice side to be down. And why is there a hole? That's so you can put a little tea light, a little electric tea light up in here and give it a little bit of a glow because the light will shine through. I'll do a little experiment and see, try to show you what that might look like. But now we just have to put that on. So we have eyelets and we have buttonholes in here. But there's a buttonhole and there's a buttonhole on that side, but there's one here too on the front, but it's in behind this door. If you can see down in there, there it is. So that's what I'm going to tackle first because it's the most awkward. So I need to get my hemostats in there, and it's not that bad. Grab my eyelet, or my button I mean, to pull through the hole, the eyelet hole. And just the way I've been doing it with all the other pieces, it's the same here. Now this piece, I have the alligator clips on it and explained that earlier. But on this particular piece, the alligator clips weren't really all that necessary because I didn't have any problems with when I was pulling one buttonette through an eyelet, the other one, some of the other ones letting go. But that does happen on occasion, and if it does, don't worry, use your alligator clips until you have the whole thing assembled and then remove them, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. So we'll just take all of these off. Sorry, I went out of the shot again. And the last one. And there we go. Now you can go around and, you know, if some pieces got a little bent, you just bend them out. There's no problem. And there, it is done except for one last step. And that's, I'm going to use some fabric fuse, fabric glue, white glue of any kind that dries clear. Works well too. And do you want to know something? I don't even know if I need to bother. These are all holding together really well, so I'm not even going to put any glue. But normally what I would do is I put a little dab of glue at the base of each buttonette that's there, let it dry, and it will dry clear, and it keeps things permanent. But on this particular piece, it went together so well, I don't really need that because I don't think I have any fear of any of this falling apart. So there it is. And I will take a better shot of it in a moment for you. And here it is, our freestanding lace applique gingerbread windmill. And you can see it from all sides here, and it looks pretty nice. So you see, it's worth the time. It really is to make something like this. And this is going to go upstairs with my other Christmas display of gingerbread houses. This is a new addition to my gingerbread village. And if you want to see it with the lights off, Echo, lights off.
Okay.
And there you go. Now I do have some light coming in a window, but you can see little tea light inside of it, electric one, and that looks really sharp. So that's all there is to it. If you make any of these kind of designs, they all go together in a similar fashion. You just have to have some hemostats, and I recommend some alligator clips, and away you go. And it's really not hard. Little time consuming, but not hard at all. And it's a beautiful addition to your home decor. Okay, so we're back, and you have seen the whole thing from start to finish, and you even got to see why there's a hole in the bottom, because I put a little light in there, and it looks really, really cute. With that, so that's going to go upstairs with my other gingerbread houses that were made in using the same method on my coffee table upstairs, on our coffee table upstairs, a Christmas display. It'll be a lovely addition. I think every year I make another one and add to the collection. May get too big.
Yeah, that one looks nice.
It does. High praise from Walter, seeing how.
Well, we were supposed to do it together. He ended up doing it.
Well, the reason being is a project like this really has to be a single version if you're doing a video anyways for it, because it's not easy to do it with another person, kind of thing. So that's why Walter didn't. He was busy making plans for our trips, and everything like that.
Yeah, like when I do trips or whatever, it basically consumes my interests.
Yeah, and he keeps changing the itinerary every hour on the hour and coming down. I thought that maybe we should do this instead.
The Dutch trip started off us renting a car and going around, and I got to thinking about it and realizing that wasn't very feasible.
Yeah, okay.
Because I mean we rented a car there before, but it's been a while. Anyway, so
this isn't what So Chatty's all about.
No, all right.
We will talk about that on maybe the live.
You know, when we get more closer to the time. Blah blah blah. Okay, fine.
All right, fine. Oh, nice eyes. You do that a lot, and they'll drop out in the floor, and all we'll hear is plop plop, fizz fizz.
Fine.
Okay, so going back to the gingerbread windmill. You saw that I used hemostats, the alligator ones, and I talked about those, and the alligator clips for holding things together. Now, Walter, when he does these, he does things a little bit differently. So how do you get the buttonettes through the eyelets? Do you use alligator clip hemostats?
I usually use the hemostats, and the hemostats are actually the easiest way to do it. Actually, what I do is I take an awl, and through the eyelets or whatever, I do what Steve does and widen it by putting the awl through it, right? To make sure that they're big enough to accept the eyelet. And then I'll take the hemostats and pull it through. Now, some people may not have hemostats or can't find them or something like that. The other way you can do it is you can grab it with an awl or whatever, and stick your awl through and grab the buttonette and pull it through. But it isn't as good as using the hemostats.
And there's a problem if you do that. You got to be careful you don't cut into some of the stitches and they start to break off, because those little buttonettes that are there are all satin stitched the way they
Yeah.
make them. And if you cut one thread in a satin stitch, the whole thing can unravel.
Yeah.
And you can also poke yourself.
Yeah, you can. You can poke yourself. So you got to be careful when you do that.
And I did that today when I was putting it together. I poked myself. I didn't show the blood on camera, but I did mention that in the video.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with that. But it is possible to do it that way. The other thing I've done is instead of using the alligator clips, I have used pins or safety pins to hold it, because if you use pins, like you go through the center of the eyelet, and I tend to be really rough when I put them together, so sometimes the alligator clips let go. So if I put a pin through it, there's no way it'll go through
What
the
kind of
eyelet again.
alligator clips are you using?
The same ones you do.
They
But
never
I've
let
had them let go before.
They never let go off.
Well, they let go with me. So, but the only problem with pins is you can stick yourself with them.
Yeah, I'd be a bloody mess. It would be like all these pins.
Well, you got to make sure they all go the right way and the way that's away from your hands. So
my recommendation is alligator clips, as I said in the video, are not that expensive. You can buy a big bag of them on Amazon. You know,
I mean, yeah, your way works your way, whatever you get used to it, right?
It's the right way.
But I'm just saying that what if somebody can't find the alligator clips, or they can't find hemostats? There are alternative ways of shoving the things through the hole.
Yeah, well, true, there are. But we're not that. But that's not the topic today. Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So I'm just
but
saying that there is a possibility of doing it another way.
yes, you can. But I'm saying the easiest way that I have found is to do that. Don't buy your hemostats from OESD. They sell them. They're twice the price. You can get them on Amazon. You can get, if you've got a surplus store somewhere in your area, they often have a section that has like medical tools and things like that. I think that's where I got mine.
Yeah. You really do need hemostats, because you need to be able to grip that tab very firmly. Don't expect you can use a pair of tweezers, because the tweezers won't hold.
And not only that, but the tweezers are going to be difficult to get them through the hole. And if you get them through the hole, trying to keep them, like get them opened up and keeping them closed and pulling through, the hemostats give you grip.
Yeah, especially the ones that Steve's shown on there where it opens up right at the end.
Yeah, the alligator.
Because you can get hemostats where they open up like a set of tweezers too,
Mm-hmm.
and they are difficult to use.
Yeah,
you can. It's much easier if you have the hemostats that open at the end.
But they're easy enough to get on Amazon. Okay, I do not have a link for that. Just go in and put in alligator hemostats, and you'll find them. There'll probably be lots of choose, and they're not that expensive. I think they're in maybe $10, something like that.
I'll put it this way: if you've invested the money in an embroidery machine and a thread and the pattern to make this thing, then you can afford to buy a pair of hemostats.
And you know, they're not a one trick pony.
No.
Because you never know when an artery or something opens up in you or in your family. You can clip it off before you get them to the hospital so they don't bleed to death. So, you know, they work for all kinds of things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my imagination works overtime. Okay, so that's some of the things. Now, at the end of that video, I did not do it to this one, but on other ones I have. I found on this particular one, the buttonettes through the eyelets and everything held really, really well. In fact, I didn't need to use a lot of alligator clips on this one. And usually I put a dot of the fabric glue that dries clear on the edges of all these, on the inside of them, so it just holds it a little better. I haven't done that on this one. I don't think I need to, because
actually I've noticed that the little loops that you put the tabs through seem to be bigger than on previous projects that we had.
So maybe they've been made an improvement in the designs, but they're holding really well, so I don't need the glue either. So that's just one more step I don't need with it. But I explained that in the video about using that kind of thing. And you
didn't use any other stabilizer than the...
Nope. No. This has no other stabilizer in it except what we told you, the water soluble, which I rinsed it out partially. I didn't do a complete rinse out of it because everything would go limp. But when it dries, everything's nice and
Yeah, so you
step.
didn't use all the product that they listed in
No,
their
never do.
write up. So
Never do with it. That's just to sell product, I think,
yeah.
because this works.
And the
well.
one thing that it might do, which I think is stupid the way they do it, is that it may discourage somebody from making
Yeah.
one, because they'll look at it and say, "Oh, I don't want to get all that stuff."
And this is one of the reasons why I did the video today showing you the assembly, because there are pages there's 44 steps that they have stepped out for putting this together. Once there was only 2 things you needed to know how to do: how to put a butt net through an eyelet, and how to put a tab, which you can't see any of the tabs because they're all stuck in, through the slot, and how to open up the slot. And I showed you that. It's the same as opening up a buttonhole, because they are a buttonhole basically, with the seam ripper.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all. And then you just match up the buttonets with the right holes, and away you go. And essentially it goes together. This went together pretty fast, even though I was videoing it and everything. And sorry that sometimes I got a little out of frame, because it was difficult for me to see when I was in, because I had to bring this up a little closer, because I mean, you got to be able to see the holes, right, when you're doing this. And yeah, so very easy to do. Don't be intimidated by them. They are not intimidated.
And once you do
not
one, you get all of them go together the same way.
Yeah. Yep, said that before. So do you have any other tips about putting them together? Anything?
No, not really.
No, I can't think of, because I think I covered everything in the video pretty much as well. Okay, so that's the end of that series. We need suggestions for what you'd like to see series on in the future, keeping in mind that we, don't ask us for really complicated stuff. Like, don't ask us to show you how to make a corset, because we don't know how. And we don't want to know how. But, if you've got other things, I am thinking of possibly we'll do a series on doing an in the hoop tote bag as well. Now that might be one where we'll both do maybe our own versions of it, our own way of doing them, and show you the results. That may not occur until into the new year.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because we're starting to run out of time here trying to get ready for Dahlonega.
Yeah.
Which is the retreat. But I'm sure we'll still have So Chatty happening up until we go from then. So what we'll talk about, I don't know, but I know what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about this. Not even talk about, we're going to open it. This is the Kawartha Quilting, a local quilt store to me. This is their version of a advent calendar. It's the Santa Sack. And someone said the other day to me, that kind of sounds kind of rude, Santa Sack. And I said, would you rather me call it Santa's Bag? Either way, you lose. So I have not looked in here. I have not peeked into the bag or anything. It's kind of heavy. I purchased this way back first of the summer, late spring, and picked it up earlier this week. So next week, we will do the big reveal. Unlike the Jenny one or some of the other advent calendars, this one is not done as open one present per day up to Christmas Day. Yeah, you could. I don't know how many things are in here, but we'll open everything at once. So those of you in our area that may have also purchased the Kawartha Quilting Santa Sack, you have 1 week to get to open up yours before,
or just not see our
So just don't watch our So Chatty next week if you're worried about a spoiler thing. So, if you were expecting this for Christmas and you're not going to open the Christmas Day, don't watch us if you don't want a spoiler alert. The onus is on you, not on us for that. So, yeah, excited to open this. I'm already feeling it. There's all kinds of things. Paper. It has paper. Okay, so that's next week. All right, I think that's it for us right now. So I hope to see many of you on the pop-ups, Idiot Quilter Pop-Up Sew Day Christmas Edition this coming Saturday, starting doors open at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and we will be running until 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, December the 7th. That's this Saturday coming up at the time of filming of this. So hope to see a lot of you there. Come festive. Come in the mood for Christmas fun. Okay, I think that's it. So we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye, Walter.
Walter.